As of right now, a pretty high percentage of Americans actually do own a home. Yes, 65.6 of Americans, oh, Mr. K, 65.6% of Americans own a home according to recent data from Bankrate and Trading Economics, and this data is as of 2024. Let me break it down for you. I really honestly think that that is going to change drastically over your lifetime. I think by the time your generation becomes my age, that number is going to go way down. And why is that, Mr. K? Why would you think of such a thing? Well, look at this title. Home prices are now rising much faster than incomes, studies show. Let's go take a look at this graph. OMG. Now, this is incomes, median household income, and this is average home prices. Look at how this is outpacing earnings. Your generation is a bunch of interesting cats. I mean, van life? Let's take a look at van life. Yeah, man, van life is a thing. Look at this. Cozy van life winter camping and cooking Christmas special. They're turning their van into a place to live. And, oh, look at this. This guy had to take a break from van life. I would need a break from that, too. Van life, no one should have to cook like 2 feet away from where you use the bathroom. No! But the reality is, if you rent, you are making someone else rich. But if you buy, you're going to really have to understand loans and borrowing money. Because again, wages, or what you earn on a job, is not keeping up with the average home price. Yeah, I've seen the tiny home stuff too, but think about that. If you live in a space like this, imagine like a family of 4. Tiny homes. Here's the thing. You have to pay for the land too. So you could pay $6,000 for a tiny home, but paying for the land, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. You get that bad boy hooked up, gas, water, utilities. It's going to be the same as what you would have used in a bigger house. So yeah, buying a house like this, it would cost this, plus the land and utilities, and the land is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. But think about this. Have you ever roomed with your brother or sister? Think about all the fighting. You put an entire family in this thing. No bueno. That is not fun. No. So you have to figure out how to buy a house, or in other words, how you can finance it. There's some reading below this video that it's really important that you do. Your generation needs to understand interest rates. Let me summarize this in a few sentences. Interest rates are the cost of borrowing money. They're set by the Federal Reserve, and they go up and down based on economic conditions. In the early 2020s, there was a lot of inflation in the economy, which is a result of all the money that the government put into the economy to help during COVID, and it caused this crisis where prices really went up. What did the Federal Reserve do? The Federal Reserve raised interest rates to curb inflation. When interest rates are high, it makes it expensive to borrow. Here's the thing. When it's expensive to borrow, what happens to the price of houses? Less people can borrow or are trying to borrow, and there's less competition in the market. So prices of houses go down when there's high interest rates. Now take a look at this fascinating graph. Historical 30-year mortgage rates, 1971 to 2024, and the average rate in that time is 7.73%, and we didn't quite get to it. Interest rates are being lowered right now, but you see this spike. This is what we have been going through. But also, it's important to keep in mind that in the past, at times, they have been much higher. You do not borrow money when they are that high, I guess, unless if it's a extreme emergency. But you do borrow when they're low. But if we're talking about housing prices, what actually happens when there's low interest rates? What is the relationship between housing prices and interest rates? Well, just to sum it up into a sentence, when interest rates are low, housing prices go up because there's a huge demand. People can borrow money very easily, and that creates more competition. What does competition do? Competition raises prices. You get two or more people bidding for one thing. What happens? The price goes up. And that gets us back to this incredibly important graph right here. Average home values over this time period created a housing market that is on fire because it was cheap to borrow in this period. So basically, Mr. K, when interest rates are high, it is more expensive for us to borrow, but home prices actually go down in that period. And when interest rates are low, everybody is borrowing, but that creates crazy competition and the prices of houses go up. So we cooked, right? We cooked. Yeah, that's kind of it. Long Island is one of the craziest housing economies in the United States. What you could do is look elsewhere, because there are cheaper houses in other parts of the country. But why is it so expensive to live on Long Island? One, proximity to New York City. Everything is there: culture, arts, entertainment, sports teams that always lose. You got a lot. I would guess that the number one reason is because of salaries. Some of the highest salaries that are paid in America happen on Long Island, New York City, the metropolitan area. And that inflates the prices of housing. The next section will go into the math on how to borrow money for a house. It will shock you. It will absolutely shock you how much you have to pay back when interest rates are high.